And this chlorpromazine is the first psychiatric drug manufactured from Nujol. From there to SSIs, every single antipsychotic drug has done more harm than good so far, because they are all reductionist chemicals. They damage the system when they do some good also. So the modern medical people were worried. And more than the doctors, the drug companies were worried. There were only 3 people making drugs those days. One is John Rockefeller, who was in oil business. And then and Andrew Morgan. And the third person was that banker. What's his name? I forget the name. SP somebody. These 3 people were in 3 different business. Andrew Carnegie, etc. were in steel business, and this fellow was in oil business, and the other people were in money business, banking. Then they came together and said, if we compete with one another, we will be weakening ourselves. We make a big consortium. So these 3 people joined together, and they had all the drug companies with their money. Today, for example, Bill Gates owns 67% of the drug companies in the world. So if you have money, you can do all that. So now what happened? These people had a consortium, and they were funding 47 medical colleges in America, of the 147 medical colleges, to do research on their chemicals. What are the chemicals? The Rockefellers were extracting petrol from naphtha, and while petrol comes out, there's a clean fluid coming out, which is called Nujol in Latin. Nujol means new oil. They said, why waste this? So they called a few chemists and said, can you find out if there is any powerful medicine in this? So the chemists joined together, they agitated some rats and injected this into the rat. So the rat which was running around just became a zombie, lied down. So they said, this is nice. You can give it to human beings who are agitated. These mad people is going around. So first came chlorpromazine, largactil. You can doctor at the point largactil. This is rocket fuel from naphtha. The first antibiotics, these sulfonyls, came from naphtha again. And this chlorpromazine is the first psychiatric drug manufactured from Nujol. From there to SSIs, every single antipsychotic drug has done more harm than good so far, because they are all reductionist chemicals. They damage the system when they do some good also. But what the chemists did not find out is when the thing becomes a zombie, it eventually dies, the rat. So that same thing happens to man also. We didn't realize that. So these people appointed a one-man commission by bribing the president in 1910. His name was Flexner, Abraham Flexner. And who was Flexner? He was a headmaster of a school in New York run by Andrew Carnegie Foundation. A retired headmaster becomes one-man commission to assess the scientific validity of medical education in America. Can you believe that? And in 6 months, Flexner gives a report saying that only those 47 medical colleges are doing scientific work because they are trying the medicine on the rats. The rest of them are all unscientific. With one stroke of the pen, one legislature, all the other medical colleges are closed by the government. That is where medicine became scientific. My medicine, modern medicine became scientific. Your medicine became unscientific. That's all. And what is science? A lot of you think that science is a big institution, like, government of Tamil Nadu or something like that. No, science is just a method. A child is the best scientist. Have you seen a child? You haven't observed a child. If you have a little child, buy a toy today. Go home, you buy a 1,000 rupees toy. Give it to the child. It will be so happy. It will look at the toy every day, up and down, and keep it in a safe place. Next day, come back and lick it to see whether there is any taste. You keep it. Third day, it will smell to see whether there is anything. Fifth day, it will break it. Then you are mad because 1,000 rupees pochin. No, your child is the best scientist. What was it doing? It was using all the 5 senses to find out what is there inside. That is called science. Science is curiosity. And if you want a definition of science, organized curiosity. Child doesn't organize its curiosity. Child doesn't know that it should not break it. There are scientists also who break it. Actually, there is a Nobel laureate physicist. Whenever he visits a lab, all the instruments get broken. You probably must have read about him. Fascinating man. Eventually, when he was passing through a city, the laboratory instruments were getting broken. So much power he had. This is now known as, some people have very powerful things. You walk into our Ramanathan's office. Because he's a good man, there's a lot of positive energy there. You feel so happy when you go to his office. Supposing you go to another IAS officer's house, they are full of negative energy. The minute you get in, you get headache. அங்கே போகிறது வேண்டாம், அடுத்த வாட்டி நான் போக மாட்டேன். ராமநாதன் சாருக்கு போனால் நான் கூட போனோம், ரொம்ப நல்ல அவர்கிட்ட போகணும் அப்படின்னு. நான் நிஜமாக சொல்கிறேன், பொய் சொல்லலை. ஐ எம் டாக்கிங் ஆஃப் ஃபிசிக்ஸ், வெரி ஹை ஃபிசிக்ஸ். Again, not to please Ramanathan, because I am not in Tamil Nadu, don't worry. I am not asking for any famous. So, if I were a Tamil Nadu, I couldn't speak all this. So, because no, he is your head. Now, coming back to medicine, there is no validity for this science, etc., etc. Homeopathy can be as scientific as any other thing, provided you keep your records, which you don't. I know a homeopath in Bangalore who has got a big name. Anybody you say, ரொம்ப நல்ல அவர்கிட்ட போனா என்ன கூட ஹீல் பண்ணுவார். One day I called him. I said, come, I want to talk to you. And he said, sir, I respect you like God. I'll come, sir. He's so busy, I believe. 3 months appointment to see him. He came to my hotel room. Then I told him, okay, what all you do? Hypertension, I have treated, sir, hundreds of patients. I have been doing my research in hypertension all my life. So I said, fine, do one thing. You get all your documents. And I have a journal where we call as Science of Healing Outcomes. I'll publish your data. Now it's 1 year. The fellow never came back. But the records illa. See, that's a problem. My father had cancer when I was a student in the medical college. So he had conventional treatment, nothing happened. Cancer, nothing happens anyway. But somebody said, that is one Kuek car, like Kopi car. There's a Kuek car in Mangalore. Very famous. Ella cancer, ella poidam. Sorry, ella poi in the Mangalore, poi in the Kuek car shop, poi ukande. Within 1 week, it will be all right. He will give some packets, 5 packets. And first week, my father was much better because placebo effect. Nothing happened. But this man was going on giving. Those days, I didn't know much about homeopathy or medicine or anything. I couldn't ask him anything. So we used to go faithfully, pay money, get the medicine. Eventually, my father died when he had to die. May his soul rest in peace. This should not be done. That's not science. Science is, you say, okay, I can treat cancer. How many cancer patients have you treated? What is their records? Where are the records? What kind of cancer they had? See, for every science, you must have one fixed entity, another movable entity. The disease must be fixed. Treatment is movable. So you say, my treatment cured that disease. That is not there. There are studies done in homeopathy using the modern medical reductionist RCTs. There are 3 studies done. The 3 drugs they have studied. One is Sambucus nigra, Arum trifolatum for upper respiratory infections. Glasgow University did this study, which is very, very good results. But then that kind of study you must have, which you don't have. Today we know homeopathy is very, very scientific because water has a structure. Water is not H2O. That's old chemistry. People are still in the old chemistry only. Water is a very complicated structure with a lot of loose bonds. Even if you put 1 drop of a chemical in a bucket of water, the whole water's energy structure changes. Then you take that bucket and put it in a bigger bucket, the structure changes. And then any amount of water you use, the structure remains the same. And that is the energy which heals. Remember that? So it's an energy medicine. Homeopathy is an energy medicine. Even if you give the pill and powder, etc., etc., they're all in nanoforms. So if you take it to the laboratory of a common pharmacology, they say, hey, idhil onnu illa. Thanni dhaan irukku, onnu illa. And the science where is the science where? Avanukku nanoparticles enna theriyad. So they are all in nanoparticles. There is very good medicine. So you must know this. You must do research on that. I went to your institute, National Institute. Anga poi nanoparticles enna kaakkranga. National Institute of Homeopathy, which takes so much of taxpayers' money. I was telling the director, what are you doing? He was telling me, sir, you come and motivate our postgraduate students. Postgraduate student now, ide similibus similum ide solliட்டு இருக்கான். நான் சொன்னேன் அது ஹிஸ்டரிப்பா. அப்படி எல்லாம் நிறைய ஹிஸ்டரி இருக்கு. What are you doing? What is geography? நீ என்ன பண்ண? தெரியாது. That is the problem. And you, homeopaths, are responsible for homeopaths' downfall. Every week on Tuesday, there is a 1-page article in The Guardian in London, which is written by a young doctor called John Goldacre, who is paid heavily money from the drug companies, who says, the death of homeopathy. That's the heading. நீங்க ஒரு ஆளு கூட ஒரு லெட்டர் டு எடிட்டர் எழுதலையே. In the as I only wrote, because it's not easy to do that because people will curse you. I wrote to the Guardian and they allowed me just a small page. I said, look, you have given him whole page. Give me one whole page, I'll tell him how bad his writing is. They won't give it. நீங்க ஏதாவது பண்ணீங்களா? பண்ணல. In defense of homeopathy, there's an article of mine called In Defense of Homeopathy. இன்டர்நெட்ல போய் பாருங்க. That is where you must do science and prove yourself. சும்மா political fight பிரயோஜனம் இல்லை. You have an association and say Inkilab Jindabad, that's all right for politicians. You and I should show, look, I mean what I say. I say what I mean. And that's called the Indian culture. Indian culture என்ன தெரியுமா? டான்ஸ் இல்லை, பாட்டு இல்லை. Culture is what you do when nobody is looking at you. What I say here can all be nonsense because I can say anything and get away with it. That is the outer face. That's called personality. You know what personality is? Your president said Hegde is a very big personality. But personality is a mask. Persona in Italian language is a mask which Nero used to use, which came to Victorian English and became personality. That's how you show yourself to the world. But உள்ள என்ன இருக்குன்னு பார்க்கணும்.